Okay, so let's get started. So this first question, nice and simple. Increasing percentage of population living in towns and cities. That's going to be not urban sprawl. That's just increasing size. Migrations, people moving there. Regeneration is improving it, so it's urbanisation. So nice and easy there. So that's the first one. Second one, let's have a look. Basically with this, you need to look at the key over here. You need to have a look at the graphs. And then quite simply, smallest increase, that's HICs, hardly goes up at all. Now, the second one, from 2020, the rate of increase. So look at 2020, it is here, okay, and that's slowing up significantly. And if you look down here, and that's the hard bit, you didn't have to look at the whole thing, you had to look at the 2020. And for the final one, it says between 20 and 2050, what countries are, lower income countries are almost to of what? So 2000, so again, it's asking you to look at 2000 and 2050, and it's doubled. Okay, and again, the clue here is it's 2000, not 1950, which is a bit nasty, but you have to get used to it with this example. Okay, we're on to question 3 now. Now, question 3 is very similar to one that happens later on. So if you can learn to do this, it's worth, we'll talk about this one, perhaps you're going to have a go at the other one. So, have a look again at the question. It says figure 2. It's, again, look at the key, pull and push factors. You've got various pull and push factors, and you have to describe the pattern. You don't have to explain, you have to describe. So basically, okay, a simple statement will get you 1 mark, okay, or 2 simple statements or a development. So look, the most obvious thing is the largest is the war against terror. That's clearly the largest. The next obvious thing is to say that there is actually more, push factors are more important than pull factors. Okay, or you could actually develop them. So they give the example, single biggest factor is war on terror. This is equal in size combined pull factors. So again, you've actually compared. Notice they're not explaining, they're only describing, but 2 descriptive statements will get you the marks. Okay, so that was relatively simple. The important bit is that you've actually got 2 things. And like I say, I would just simply have that push factors are more important and the single largest factor is war on terrorism. Okay, so let's move on. Right, then we get on to the next question, and this one asks you to study figure 3, which is this information here, and it says 1 problem faced by the people, and it's 2 marks. Now, what that means is to get 2 marks, you need to say 1 fact and then explain why it's important. The roads are bad, poor quality, so I know cars will get damaged, or traffic moves really slowly, so people will take longer, be late for work. Okay, it really is that simple, but you have to have the development, okay, as well as a simple point. And because it says 1 problem, you can't have 2 of these. Okay, you have to have 1 of these, 1 of these. Okay, so let's move on. Right, now we get to a longer question. Okay, and this one takes a bit of thinking about. It says use figure 3, so you've got to talk about the poor quality roads and things like that and all the problems and the roads are never repaired, etc. But a city in an NEE to suggest why managing traffic congestion and air pollution may be challenging. Now if you want to stop the video here, you'll see the indicative comment and you'll see what we're after. The important bit here is if you have a look to get top marks is this. You've got to talk about traffic congestion and air pollution. So if you just want to look at what the example's after, stop here. In a second I'm going to go through how you could write about Lagos. Okay, so if you're talking about Lagos, okay, and you're answering this question, what could you include? Well, the first thing is this challenge. What that basically means, why is it blooming difficult to actually try and improve these things? So this is what I came up with. Well, first of all, lack of funds. Okay, the government doesn't have a huge amount of money, is an NEE, richer than an LIC, but still not super rich. And that's made worse because so many people working in formal jobs, so they haven't got a huge amount of tax coming in. The population is growing rapidly. I think it's 400,000 people per year, so there's more and more people. Okay, that means, for example, 40% of all new cars in Nigeria are actually in Lagos. Okay, slums not built for cars is a problem, and the islands make it hard for transport. Now the air pollution, I've not put down here, which is silly of me, but air pollution might include facts like Many people still use wood and they burn rubbish for energy. Many small factories are unregulated, so that there's no laws creating clean air. It might be that the government doesn't have the means to actually go and monitor those people, or it could simply be the vast amount of pollution being chucked out by the traffic. But you would need to include both if you want to get full marks. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so next one is a nice simple maths question. I was a bit more generous on this because I think with the colour paper it's harder to actually see the score. But basically it's asking you for the range. And the range is simply the top score, which looks like up here. Let's have a look. 307. I'd say 370 perhaps more. Okay, and the lowest is down here. Again, looks like 309. You do the math, you end up with 62. I'd ignore those numbers, can't quite know what enough they're about. I allowed you to be 1 or 2 out. The examiners won't, but then you won't be on city green paper, so you should be okay for that. Okay, next we get on to this question. And again, I've got the feedback from the exam, and I'll talk about how I would answer it in a second. Now, the key thing about this is that it says figure 4 and your own understanding. And it suggests, you don't have to know, it's ideas. Now, again, okay, it says use figure 4, you have to refer to this. And if you look at this, basically in the centre of the city, they're doing pretty good. And in the suburbs, okay, out by the countryside, they're doing pretty good. In the inner city, it's doing really badly. So you do need to refer to that. So this is the sort of advice that the example's got, but I've picked out the bits really focused on London, so I'll do that in a second. But if you want to look at this and have a go at improving it without me giving you the answers, stop and have a go now. So this is how I'd go about answering it, and the key bit here is you must refer to the graph. You've really got to use suburbs and centre. Okay, if you're not using words like that, you're not going to get full marks. And basically there are 2 reasons why you're getting better GCSE scores in these places. It's either because kids are doing better and they live here, or it's rich people who have done well at GCSEs have moved here. So rich people get better results because they afford to live near good schools. Schools make the house prices go up, rich people can afford it. They can afford private tuition, they can afford revision guides. Okay, so you can probably get 3 marks just by saying that, and if you say that richer people live in the suburbs, then you've probably got 4. Or the reason why these places are doing better is because richer, affluent, well-educated people have moved in, and basically they like the suburbs because nice, large, attractive houses near greenery. Rich, well-educated people are moving into expensive developments like we saw in the Olympic Park, which is in the centre. And unfortunately, the inner city and some of these central areas, they're basically where lots of poverty is. That's because of the decline of industry. The London docks example have shut, so people have lost their jobs. So that's the reason why you've got that pattern. You need to develop 1 or 2 reasons, but you must refer to the graph if you want 4 marks. Okay, then we get on to what I think is quite a hard question for 2 marks. One-way national migration has led to a change in character. Right, well basically, actually, if you really think about it, London, population's increased, so more houses have been built, leading to urban sprawl, for example. Okay, or more people means more people, population's increased, more people using the underground, so it's more unpleasant. Okay, anything like that will get you the marks. Okay. Now, then we get to the big 9 and 3 mark question. Okay, so again, it's London because it's urban UK. So we're going to talk London, environmental challenges. Again, if you want to just look at the mark scheme and have a go improving it, you're welcome to. Okay, I'll talk through what we're after in terms of a really good London answer in a second. Okay, so this is how I'd answer it if I was going to do it. So basically, it's a to what extent. Okay, so that means I've got to say it's really bad, or it's not so bad, or it's a bit in between. And I'd basically do it this way. I'd talk about the reasons it is bad. So air quality, London, commonly below EU standards, and that's particularly linked to the main roads and Heathrow. Yeah, a quarter of rubbish still goes to landfill. That creates air pollution, it pollutes the groundwater, various other nasty things. We know there's urban sprawl. greenfield development, new developments being built, commuter towns. I mean, even Vista arguably comes into this, which is destroying fields and habitats. So you've got all of this bad stuff going on. And then, to what extent? Well, actually, all that bad stuff's going on, but some really good stuff going on. Air quality is rubbish, but it's getting better. You've got bike schemes introduced, a congestion charge reduced the number of traffic. Recycling's increasing. 60% is now recycled. So actually, most of the rubbish is being recycled, reducing the effect. We know that there's greenfield developments. There's also brownfield developments. We've got the Olympics, for example, so we can talk about what's happened there and about increasing the amount of green space and new parks being created. So my conclusion is, yes, there are major challenges in terms of environment, but London's got the capacity, because it's in an HIC, to make the improvements. Okay, so have a go, stop here, have a go at that one. Okay, moving on swiftly, we've got, what is a megacity? Well, a megacity is just simply 10 million inhabitants, so that's one you just got to know, I'm afraid. It's nice and easy, basically. Most people got that, to be fair. Right, again, we're over here to a sort of missing word thing. So again, look at the maps, okay, 2015, 2030, and it's work out which one it is. So, most new dots have appeared here, which is in Southern Asia, okay. So, Southern Asia, there are no new megacities in half of the continents. It took me a while to get this one, but looks like Europe, there's Australia, and North America. So, the 6 continents, 3 of them. And the continent Africa shows the biggest increase as percentage of gaps. So again, that's a question of looking at that, going through, crossing them out, making sure it makes sense. Now, we come on to this one. This is very similar to the other pie chart one we've got. Okay. Again, describe the pattern, 2 marks. Okay. So again, have a look at what you've got here. Okay, it's describing. The most obvious thing is that over 60% is food. Okay, now read the question. It is expenditure on food. Okay, lots of people got their sentences in a complete muddle over this. So it's over 60% of expenditure, money spent, is on food. And then what you might do, okay, is you might say, well, actually, the vast majority of them are less than 5%. Okay, or the second largest is on transport. Okay, but again, we want another overall summary, which is why I might pick out that the majority being less than 5%, with food being the most. Okay, yeah, clearly this is a common type exam question. You've just got to learn the technique. Okay, right, moving on. Okay, again, 2-mark question, this one. I thought this was quite hard actually to get the 2nd mark, but again, technique I guess gets us one opportunity. Right, well, if we have a look, they're clearly informal workers. They are collecting rubbish for recycling to get money. Okay, so probably using that phrase informal would be quite good, but what can get me a mark? Well, they can collect rubbish for sale, 1 mark. Okay, jobs operating machinery and tractors, you can see over here, would be a mark. Okay. 2nd mark though for developing. Informal employment gets you that 2nd mark because of the unskilled nature. That's quite good for them. They don't pay taxes. Okay. Salvage materials have been thrown away, which can be resold so money can be earned. How that's different from that one, I'm not sure. But again, it's just that developing that idea slightly to get the 2nd mark. But when you see 2 marks, you've got to have that which means in because. Okay, so that you're getting the 2nd mark. Okay, and then we get on to the final question. 6 marks. Okay, assess the challenge of providing services. And again, challenges means, why is it difficult? And again, you wouldn't need all of this. Okay, but basically, general problems. I'd start with, again, Lagos, 600,000, nearly 1 million people a year coming every year. How the hell do you provide water, education, health for them? Particularly since you've got a high percentage of informal workers. They're not paying tax, so the government doesn't have the money to actually pay for it. And then I'd pick out 1 or 2 of these. Okay, and again, because it's the challenge, tell me what's rubbish, tell me if there's anything good. So big challenge, only 10% is piped from water plants. Most people access unsafe water, so the scale of the problem. It's made worse because of pollution. So sewage seeping into the ground and into the water from poor sanitation. You've got climate change, which means sea levels are rising, so sea water is polluting the water. Government has set up a water commission to monitor the situation, but does it actually have the funds to actually do it? Most people don't think so. Mental health. There's a few government mental health centres. The solution then is you've got mental health care provided by charities, but as we saw in the video, they're often run by unqualified staff, and you even have people getting chained up, so clearly it's quite difficult to meet that. We look at waste. 40% of waste is collected, which means 60% isn't. Now you could mechanise it, you could have rubbish collections and things like that, but thousands of people's jobs actually dependent on recycling the waste, and they'd be lost if it was all processed or burnt. So do you really want to get rid of that and make hundreds, possibly thousands of people unemployed? Schools. Again, we know it's a problem. Many slums don't have access to school places. Makoko being one of them. That's where they come up with the idea of the floating school. So again, there are solutions to that because you've got this problem of lack of space. But again, a nice bit of evaluation is that it sank. So conclusion, well, what do you reckon? Okay, 6-mark question doesn't need to be long. There are substantial challenges, probably linked to the fact it's an NEE and 600,000 people. Okay, hope that's been useful. Okay, and you can use it to improve your work. Okay, any questions, come and find us.